with this next panel, other than the fact that the title kind of reminds me of that glorious event. I got so much exercise, I felt like I had a hot girl summer. Anyway, our next session is called Stay Alert: Evolving Security, Safety, and Financial Crimes in the Metaverse. Please allow me to invite our panelists, Moss Henning, Paolo Ganji, and Jasmine Brunson to the stage.
Hello, hello.
Hey. Tomas is
Hey there.
Tomas is a seasoned security professional with years of senior leadership experience. He has a security-first mindset and has been successful in creating and implementing effective cybersecurity programs, best practices, strategies, and technologies. Tomas is currently the Senior Director of Security Engineering at Circle. He is also an advisor at the XR Safety Initiative and at Cisco for OR Security. Previously, he was the Director of Security Engineering at Marqeta and focused on child safety initiatives at Roblox. Paolo is a EU attorney with a background in IP, tech law, and business law in general. Over the past 2 years, he has been actively working in the Web3 and crypto world and has become an expert in NFTs, Web3, DAO, DeFi, and the metaverse. Paolo has also gained substantial experience in scams and cyber attacks related to NFTs and crypto assets. Finally, our amazing panel moderator, Jasmine. She is the founder of Rectify AI, an AI-powered Web3 security, risk, and analytics platform for Web3 projects and users. She's been an advocate for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies since high school. Has also worked for companies like NASA, Maxar Technologies. Now she's using AI and machine learning to solve some of Web3's biggest challenges and risks to date. So if everybody could just grab some emojis, get some claps, and you guys enjoy your panel.
Hey there, everyone. Thank you all so much for that amazing introduction. We're going to wait for our other panelists to get on. Hey, Paolo, right here.
Towards me first, Paulo, before you get on the stage. It's literally like a real life. You have to like get on the stairs and get on the stage. Hey, look at me.
Just to start out, Tomas. So our first question is, and from my understanding, you worked at Circle and everything else, and you're a cybersecurity expert. So I think you'll be very interested in this one. According to Interpol, there was a report that stated that fraud, data thefts, and a whole bunch of crimes are propagating in the metaverse now. And so how do you think that we can prevent that from going forward to make the
Great to be here. One of the things that you can talk about, and I would love to share a perspective on, is any new technology is, of course, prime for illicit activity. That's, of course, one of the biggest things is like, well, how can we go and break it and use it for things that it's not intended to be used for? Same thing is happening in the metaverse. Same thing is happening in the blockchain world. Same things are happening in all of these new niche markets that don't necessarily have the foundation built yet into them to prevent these different type of harmful activities, because some of the harmful activities may not be as well known yet. I think moving forward, both in the metaverse and the blockchain world, etc., what we need to do as a collective is really look backwards and learn from both the regulation, but also the historical harm, illicit activity that has happened, and what controls have been put in place. A lot of the historical controls were reactionary, looked at the issue only in the isolation of the large event that has happened. We have the benefit right now to look at 30, 40 years of historical context and take out the goodness of what has happened out of those events, the good controls, and implement controls that make sense in 2022, 23, and even 2030, and implement things that are meaningful versus just way too overbearing or doesn't make any sense in the AR VR world or in the metaverse itself.
Yeah, I like what you said about the more reactive responses to threats and theft. That's something that's propagating, especially in like the smart contract auditing world. When we see these exploits done on major platforms, or even with Binance, one of the largest exchanges out there, just getting exploited for $500 million recently. We're seeing more reactive measures put in place. But what about the prescriptive and the predictive solution? So a great response to that. Hey, Paolo, can you hear us? Oh, go ahead, Tomas.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get. I was.
No worries, no
minutes
worries.
delayed.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Well, thank you very much.
Tomas,
Thank you.
I'm gonna allow you to answer that, and then
So I'm gonna be the person on the stage that's going to actually say that I'm a firm believer of regulation that actually makes sense. I think now is the time to lead by example and actually propose both regulation and controls that can be adopted into regulatory frameworks that actually make sense for today's world. If we continue to be in a free-for-all world, it's going to be difficult to reach that consensus and that standard that everybody needs to hold themselves to, and it's going to be too chaotic because we as humans tend to strive towards chaos. With regulation and with a strong regulatory framework and a standard that makes sense, we can actually all drive towards building versus fighting against each other.
awesome. And so, Paolo, the question I asked was from Interpol. So, according to Interpol, there's been a lot of crimes that have been happening in the metaverse since this thing has blown up, right? We've seen crimes, fraud, data theft, you name it, harassment as well. And so, what do you think we can put in place to prevent those things from even happening, to make the metaverse a more inclusive place?
Well, I think first of all, it's in my opinion the really first point is education, because there are a lot of people that do not understand what's going on in the metaverse, and I would say also in the crypto world. I look at these two things. Like something very linked. I will say education because, for example, there are a lot of people that don't really have an understanding of what is a metaverse, what is a crypto world, and maybe they don't even have a very good idea about tech. They don't have very much expertise, very much knowledge of tech, but they think. I'm sorry. Am I okay with my position because I'm receiving a lot of messages?
Can you click on megaphone in the host tools? If you click on that and do amplify my voice.
I'm okay. Can I speak? No.
Yeah, now you can speak. Paulo, can you look towards me? I'm right here.
It's okay. Can I continue?
Yes. Thank you. That's perfect.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. So I was saying, I will say education because in my experience, a lot of clients. Okay.
If you could click on the host tools at the bottom right and click amplify my voice.
Do you think we can add him as a
Bubble?
Enable it that way? We have to do it for him.
Sorry, what do I have to
We have
click?
to do it for him. He can't do it.
There's a button on the bottom right. It says host tools. If you click on that, there's a amplify my voice button.
Okay. Okay. And then?
You should be good.
It's okay now?
Say again.
Okay.
No.
While they're doing that, I wanted to ask, so,
Can
and I
I
like what you
speak?
said earlier, Tomas, about the less reactive and more prescriptive, but now we're getting to the space where we understand that cryptocurrencies, the metaverse, all these digital assets and these new technologies that encompass Web3 give us autonomy, right? Give us self-sovereignty. And so how are ways in which the users of this technology can protect themselves, right? Because sometimes we can't wait for a big brother or other entities to protect ourselves. So what can we do to protect ourselves in the metaverse?
That's an amazing question, and I'm actually going to go back and say, honestly, training and knowledge and awareness is one of the biggest things people can do today. Taking a lot of the great content, for example, that is available from XRSI as well, and go and talk about these things as much as possible. If people don't know what they are getting themselves into, it's on us to really get that material out there, spread it through social media channels, spread it through YouTube, spread it through different avenues, so people know what are some of the risks that actually can come from these particular channels.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, kind of divulging now, Interpol, they had put out a request to bring in the metaverse police, and I wanted to get you all's opinion on if you think implementing the police in the metaverse can help reduce the threat of cybercrime in the metaverse.
I think the term police for the metaverse also needs to be really, really well defined. What does it actually mean to bring the police into the metaverse? And by no means am I going to be the expert to define that terminology. But as I was referencing before, the security, privacy, and regulatory framework needs to be really defined and upheld by the companies that are running these type of environments to ensure safety. Does policing actually mean that this is nothing more than content moderation? Potentially. Does policing mean that transactions now are being monitored for money laundering and similar types of transactions? Maybe. I think the critical conversation that needs to happen is, what is the type of activity that needs to be policing? Who should be that oversight body that would actually go and do this? Would it be companies? Would it be a new law enforcement agency that is part of a government? Should it be it's difficult to define given how global in nature the metaverse is and how non-country specific it is, but we need to be able to represent each individual's perspectives and beliefs inclusively in such a way that we're not marginalizing anybody in the world.
For sure, for sure. I like what you said about redefining the way we think of police in the metaverse, because with Web3, we're able to rewrite the wrongs of Web2 or anything beyond, right? And just putting the word police on something could be an infringement or make people, think that there's something deplorable going on, especially since these entities are supposed to protect modern day consumers. But same question for Paolo. What do you think, especially from a lawyer perspective, about the impact of police in the metaverse?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, from my perspective, and I have a very practical practical perspective, because I have been helping clients in these kind of things, more crypto than really metaverse, but probably it's very much linked. The problem is that when you go to police, to enforcement of justice, that is really something which is not international. It's really domestic. So we have here a very terrible conflict, because from one point of view, we have a very international system like the metaverse, the crypto world, all this kind of system. But from the other point of view, we have these systems which are terribly domestic, are terribly state-centered. So if you speak, I don't know, with the Italian police or the US police or the UK police, they have only their own perspective. They don't really speak with other police. So you have to file a complaint in that state with those regulations, and there is no really communication between the various systems. So when you pass from the perspective of the metaverse to the perspective of enforcing the justice, the situation is completely different. And I repeat, there is a big conflict between how international, how totally outside any idea of a specific territory is the metaverse, but from the other point of view, how the various legal systems are still very much centered on themselves. They don't really understand as a system, and even the people that work in these systems, what is a metaverse, how international it is. So basically, if you are the victim of a fraud, of a crime in the metaverse, in the crypto world, the only thing you can do is file a complaint in your state, in the country where you receive, where you stay, or maybe even in other countries. So you can file, I don't know, 5, 10 complaints around the world. It doesn't really work in terms of having an international counteraction against the criminals. So that is my opinion.
For sure. I love that you're able to give that international perspective, especially out of the EU. I wanted to say this, especially going back to what you were saying about just educating authorities and educating good actors in this space that they can implement protection. And so I know in the United States, there has been a push to speak with regulators about cryptocurrency so that we get regulation right. We still don't even have a clear point of view when it comes to regulation in terms of buying and selling digital assets, and even creating the technologies that are put on different types of layer 1, layer 2 blockchains, what have you. And so I wanted to ask, do you all think that it's advantageous for the thought leaders and the builders in this space to work alongside authorities, regulators, and what have you to ensure that
and as Circle as myself as well, we welcome regulations, especially as it relates to stablecoin. And it goes back a little bit to what I mentioned before, is there's very similar risk, or it's exactly the same risks that we've seen in the fiat world or in the Web 2 world that we're trying to address. So why wouldn't the same rules apply? And that is the approach that we've been taking for this. So as we move into this digital world, into cryptocurrency space, it makes sense for these rules to also apply in a sense that actually matters for the world that we're going to be building with these stable coins and with these cryptocurrencies.
I will say, and again, this is my very practical perspective, is very much, well, I totally agree with what Thomas was saying, but the problem with, especially with the police, is that usually they don't really understand what really means metaverse, cryptocurrencies. I would say the real problem is that they don't want to understand. They look like the entire, there is like a bias against all this crypto war that is going in that exists. So the police, the authorities, officers, regulators, in many cases, are really against. So what I'm experiencing with my clients is that when you file a complaint, you say that somebody has been a victim of a fraud in the cryptocurrencies world, in the crypto world. In many cases, the police, it looks like they doesn't want to help. Like, well, we don't want to meddle into these kind of things because probably you are if you were investing or money or at least operating in the cryptocurrencies world, you are probably a criminal like those criminals that stole from you. So it's very, very, very complicated from this point of view. And yes, it will be very, very important that all actors within the crypto and the metaverse world will try to do some educational role in relation to the police and to the public officers. But from my own experience, it's very, very difficult.
Awesome. And so to segue, we see hacks, scams, and exploits become a prominent thing in the Web3 space, from exit scams, aka rug pulls, to flash loan attacks, smart contract exploits, phishing, you name it. In my own research, I found that the two most common exploits in the metaverse are, one, social engineering, and then also phishing, right? And phishing tends to, hinder all of us. That's why there's spam filters and things of that sort put in place for emails and common communication. And so what are some ways in which you all believe and best practices you all believe are good to implement so that we can prevent people from experiencing the perils of social engineering and phishing in the metaverse?
If you don't mind, I'm actually going to be up-leveling your question a little bit, because it's not for me only about phishing and similar type of scam campaigns that are ongoing, but it's overall the safety and security of the blockchain ecosystem, of the cryptocurrencies, of the metaverse in its essence. And I think the parallel that I draw is, if we take a look at the very, very beginning of the Web 2 world, there were well-known classes of attacks that have not been really coined yet. They haven't really been addressed yet. That's why OWASP Top 10 exists, that now are effectively something everybody looks at when they're developing a Web 2 application. We're in the very early stages of Web 3. We're in the very early stages of smart contract security. We're in the very early stages of tooling that companies can utilize in order to build the products, build the dApps, build the ecosystem that they want to build out in a safe and secure manner. So right now is the time to build, and my personal belief is now is the time to actually truly and heavily invest into security and privacy tooling within the metaverse, within the crypto space, and up level to the same way that we as security professionals up level the Web 2 space with the tools and enablement so builders can build a truly secure space. This, of course, will also help with reducing phishing attacks, reducing scams, because they can be natively built into the applications from a foundational level.
I will that there is not very much awareness yet in the world about the type of dangers that might come. And I see, for example, a lot of platforms which ask to connect your wallet And for example, I have been advising some clients for which I wrote the terms of use that you really probably don't want to make wallet connect to your platform, to your smart contract if you don't really need it, because every time somebody connects his or her wallet to a smart contract, potentially you are at risk because your smart contract was hacked, and that wallet contains, I don't know, some board dates of club. So maybe those hackers might take those board dates of club. So you as a platform might become liable for that. But when I say this to clients, they look at me like I'm crazy. Why? I want to people connect their wallet to my smart contract, to my platform, for example, to mint an NFT as a membership of an association or things like this. So there is, in my opinion, not yet very much awareness of the dangers that might come from platforms, but also from, I would say, from apps, but also from users. For example, I personally have a cold wallet, a Ledger, but not many people have. Many people, it's kind of normal to connect their wallet to whatever platforms, to whatever smart contract, and mint their own NFT. They don't really care, and then maybe they got hacked, and then they're like shocked. So I would say a little bit of awareness in the community.
I completely agree with you about awareness. It's is only one component of it. The other component of it is going to be ease of use. Yes, I also have a Ledger myself personally, and it's an easy to use piece of technology for me, but I have seen it for others to whom it was incredibly confusing to use. This is where I think by enabling security tools, by enabling a platform to be built on where secure user experiences can be built, and I'm going to call it building towards crypto's iPhone moment, where something really breaks through the user experience so it can become mainstream, is something that we all need to be building towards. And I fully agree, it needs to come with education, it needs to come with tooling, it needs to come with platform for all of these to come together and for it to make sense.
Yeah, I see what both of you all are saying. Just a tidbit, at Rectify AI, we're mostly focused on building security tooling for end users, because time and time again in this space, we've seen protectants only for like maybe the protocols and platforms, whether it be through auditing, fuzzing, testnet deployment, RPC node simulation, you name it, right? And so we want the end user to not only come into this space wholeheartedly, but also to ensure that they know what's out there, because time and time again, every time there's like a big bull run, right? We're about to come up on the next happening in 2024. There's always this FOMO that's implemented in this space, and people are just rushing and forgetting common Web 1 practices. Like, hey, let's not click links from people we don't know in Discord, right? And so I'm really interested to gauge you all's just opinion on data privacy. And this is mostly on the hardware side, right? We have Oculus, which is the most renowned known VC headset producer in the world. And so Oculus was acquired by Meta, aka Facebook. And so Facebook has already had this long-standing trail of bad practice when it comes to data storage, selling data to demagogues that can leverage the data to make heuristics about people and unfortunately target ads at them. So from you all's perspective, do you think that it's okay, or if we're going to be in a good place, just trusting and giving Meta a second chance when it comes to the metaverse?
That's a really good question. As it comes down to hardware privacy and hardware security, it's going to be incredibly more and more important for well-defined standards to be defined on what what can only be processed within a device versus what can actually be up-leveled and actually sent to servers and processed there, simply because these devices collect so much telemetry at that particular point in time that no matter what, they're going to uniquely be able to identify not only you, the environment that you're in, the house that you're in, the people that you are with. So that data controlling is that much more difficult, and you have to uphold it to that higher level of rigor. And I'm not going to be bashing Meta, but there have been historical issues with privacy. There have, not only across Meta, but across other companies as well. So data minimization coming off the device should be the goal that every single company strives for.
I would like to add that I totally agree with what Thomas just said, and I am from Europe. I'm also I work in privacy law, and I'm also data privacy officer for some companies. And at the moment, in Europe, within the European Union, there is a big debate about privacy law, GDPR, and the Meta. Yes, I agree that privacy minimization is absolutely important, because one of the cornerstone of privacy is the technical and organizational measures, which for GDPR lovers is Article 32. I don't know, but I'm asking myself how Meta, Facebook, old Facebook, is going to manage the security, the technical and organizational measures in relation to the metaverse, because it's going to be a very, very sensitive issue.
Awesome, awesome. I was looking at the schedule for tomorrow, for the Metaverse Safety Week, and I wanted to kind of do a precursor to it, because I was just thinking about this not so long ago, and we got to talk about children's participation in this, because of course children are going to gravitate towards gaming, they're going to gravitate towards the metaverse, VR. Kids are like sponges, right? And so what are some ways in which people can participate in their children's metaverse experience just to ensure their safety?
That's an excellent question. One of the best things that I always said, and I strongly believe in, is parents should be playing the games that their kids are playing, and learning with them what the metaverse is, and not shying away from that particular game that they're really, really interested in. If the approach that you take is just buy my child a headset and not learn anything about it, that's not the right approach. Be there with them, embrace the environment with them, learn what the communities are about, and go and play games with them. It's a lot of fun to do so, and that allows you to have very meaningful conversations with your child, regardless of their age, about what is right versus what is wrong, what is something potentially harmful in the AR, VR space, or even in real world, because you can draw those parallels and use it as a teaching opportunity for that child. Because as you said, the child's brain is a sponge. So why not continue that teaching opportunity in the AR, VR space? Why are you just doing it in the real world space? So get in there, play games with your kids.
I personally have a 5-year-old daughter. I'm directly experiencing this stuff. I would say I'm really, really concerned for the future, because all these metaverse, but even less than that, even simply YouTube, just to say in very simple terms. As a parent, as a father, I really look at something that has to be really, really taken care in relation to children, because their mind is really, you can really direct their mind very, very easily. I don't think that it personally, and I'm speaking more as a father than as a lawyer, or as somebody who has an opinion. I really think that they shouldn't approach things like the metaverse if they are younger than, I would say, 12, 13 years old. That is my opinion.
Awesome, awesome. So Paolo, from a law perspective, plagiarism and intellectual property has been a big topic in the metaverse. And so, what do you think are some ways in which people can protect their IP and, just make sure that they're patenting their work in this space? Because unfortunately, on top of the current crimes when it comes to data theft, fraud, in the metaverse, IP and plagiarism is becoming a large topic as well.
Yes, and all the major brands, including brands from my country, are filing trademarks for the metaverse. And the EUIPO, which is the European Union Office for Trademarks, and USPTO, which is the US one, already published guidelines about how to file a trademark in a trademark request for metaverse. Those are the big brands, the big ones, really. The SMEs at the moment are really outside of the metaverse. So what's happening at the moment is that there are just the big brands that are investing money or trying to understand how to protect themselves. They don't really have a very clear idea about this. I was in a conference a couple of months ago, and there were the chief legal, the chief of the legal department of Nestlé, which is a big European trademark, and also of a couple of other big brands. And they said that they are investing a lot of money trying to understand how to protect themselves in this new environment, but it's not really very much clear to them what to do. And those are, I repeat, the big brands. The SMEs, absolutely at the moment outside this world. They have no idea what to do it. They're a little bit afraid, and they're trying to stay away. So we are just at the very, very beginning of this situation.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, and then we're gonna segue to questions from the audience. But I wanted to let our hair down and kind of get an idea of what you all think the greatest promises of this space actually is. And we're gonna just get out of just the metaverse in a sense, just the abundance of all of Web3, whether we're talking about DeFi, altcoins, digital land, what have you. What do you think are the greatest promises in your opinion?
In my mind, it's going to bring the world together. It's going to enable us to connect the traditional financial world with a new modern global world. It's going to allow the unbanked to become banked. It's going to allow easy movement of value in between people. And honestly, just going to bring us closer together. It's going to allow us to become a lot more inclusive, a lot more understanding of who individuals are, allow their creativity to be shown, and just bring us together as humans, in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with what Thomas just said, and I will say that it's creating a new economy. And in many countries, there was absolutely need to create a new economy, because the traditional economy was kind of glut, was absolutely arrived at the point where there were no more opportunities. So if you live in the Silicon Valley, might be a little bit different, but in many other areas of the world, including Europe, for example, which is still a rich countries, but there are not so many opportunities in the old days. The market was completely closed. There were no any more opportunities. And what what all this is creating is a new economy, new world, new really new world full of opportunities, of new things to do it, of things that can be created, and I think this is absolutely very, very important.
Are there any conferences you all looking forward to after this one?
None that immediately popped to my mind because the first thing I'm looking forward to is a little bit of a holiday break.
I know for
No,
me,
no,
I'm
no.
oh no, okay. I know for me, I'm looking forward to the North American Bitcoin Conference that's now called Quantum Miami. So that's going down in January, mid-January, happens every January. And it was my second ever conference when I started my in real life crypto journey. Just to close this out, I wanted to ask you all, how do we get to the space of mass adoption? Mass adoption has always been like a buzzword or buzz phrase in the Web3 crypto space. And so what do you guys think is going to be the biggest value add to mass adoption?
Currently we're in the build phase of the Web3 world, and it's in a very interesting phase to be in. But in order for us to get to the world of mass adoption, we need to move into the utility phase of crypto. So as every single person is building and building and building, the question that needs to be in the back of our minds is, how are we bringing utility to the ecosystem? How are we making the ecosystem a lot more accessible for the regular person, for the person who looks at this entire world as something they want to very seamlessly just use and experience, have user experiences that work as simple as your iPhone does or your Android device does nowadays. So for us to get there and for us to really reach that mass adoption globally, we need to pivot into the utility phase, and that is going to be brought on by all the builders who are building amazing pieces of technology today with the heavy focus on utility and user experience.
I totally agree with what Thomas just said. I would say we are very, very far away from mass adoption at the moment. I just want to tell a story about myself. Last year, I created a collection of NFTs, which I wanted to give to my clients. I mean, clients that hire me for NFTs platform, NFTs project, this kind of crypto projects, these kind of things. And so what happened is that many of these businessmen, they didn't have a wallet. It's kind of, they paid me for, because they wanted to create platforms in the crypto world, in the NFT, but they didn't have a personally wallet. So that was made me think a lot, and I would say we are really, really far away from the mass adoption at the moment. It's like wallet should become much easier for people to understand and to approach. At the moment, we are still in a niche. Just still very few people are in this world. That is my understanding.
For sure. We're still early. I mean, less than 10% of people on this planet are using Bitcoin cryptocurrencies and even are participating in the Web3 space. So I think it's a great opportunity for us as the leaders of the space to onboard as many people as possible so they can know about the access they can bring. I love what Thomas said earlier about inclusivity and onboarding people. And I'm super excited about the future. And so just to round everything out, thank you all for attending our talk. We want to open it up for questions from the audience. So please raise your hand and then we'll go ahead and click on you. While we're waiting for folks, any last regards, gentlemen?
Nothing from me.
Where can people find you all?
Twitter. As any person in crypto, it's Twitter, and it's my full name, Tomas Henning.
You guys can check me out on Twitter as well. Bubbly Orca. That's my shadowy supercoder name. Any questions? Let's close out this evening. Thank you all for attending our talk. I hope you took and derived a lot of value out of it, and enjoy the rest of Metaverse Safety Week.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. 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 Thank you.